Hey, everybody. Welcome to Declassified Live. Big day yesterday, and I was watching that Sarah Huckabee Sanders press conference live, and she came to the podium. She was making a statement, and I have to tell you, I was pretty blown away by what she had to say there when she and I wonder if anybody's seeing us live right now. I got to make sure we're not set to private. So I'm guessing we are. I'm guessing we're okay. Anyway, was watching that presser, and I'm not seeing anybody queued up for this. So I'm going to reset this, and let's see, because I could swear we were public. All right, there we go. Now I'm seeing people start to come in. All right, so I was watching that presser live when Sarah Huckabee Sanders came out and she announced that Trump had revoked Brennan's security clearance. I was a pretty happy guy because this idiotic narrative on the left that John Brennan and others are entitled to a security clearance for life is really stupid. I mean, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, quite frankly. I've never in my life heard anything that ridiculous. Now, I read the entire First Amendment about 100 times over and over again, and I can't find anything in it that indicates you're entitled to a security clearance for the rest of your life. Never heard anything like it. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Really, really dumb. I mean, like really, really, really dumb. Yeah. Now, Sword of Damocles says that's a very good step, right? So what Trump did was Trump pulled a security clearance to John Brennan. That has nothing to do with the First Amendment. Trump is also reviewing the security clearances of James Clapper, James Comey, General Michael Hayden, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Sally Yates, Bruce Orr, and former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice. All needs to happen. These were the people behind this bogus Trump-Russia collusion nonsense. These were the people who were trying to create a coup in our government. These were the people. I believe John Brennan was behind all of this, alongside John McCain and some others. I believe Andrew McCabe was in his cabal. This was a soft coup against the sitting president of the United States of America. That's all this was. Now, the left is predictably, losing their minds. They're up in arms. How dare the president take John Brennan's First Amendment rights? How dare the president do this to John Brennan, an American hero? Philip Rucker from the Washington Post, who apparently is no longer a journalist, dropped a tweet yesterday that says, John Brennan's public service, CIA station chief in Saudi Arabia, CIA chief of station, director of Terrorist Threat Integration Center, director of National Counterterrorism Center, White House Homeland Security Advisor, CIA director, briefed 3 presidents. So what? So what? Because what Sean Davis from the Federalist points out is that John Brennan was CIA director, CIA station chief in Saudi Arabia when the Khobar Towers were bombed. He was deputy executive director of the CIA, executive director of the CIA on 9/11. He dropped the ball there. He was CIA chief of station during the Iraq WMD debacle, and he ran the CIA when it spied on members of Congress and lied under oath about it. Okay? Now, you got the left saying, oh my God, it's First Amendment protected. Oh, you're taking John Brennan's First Amendment rights away. John Brennan himself tweeted, this action is part of a broader effort by Mr. Trump to suppress freedom of speech and punish critics. It should gravely worry all Americans, including intelligence professionals, about the cost of speaking out. My principles are worth far more than clearances. I will not relent. Only problem is intelligence professionals are saying that John Brennan was patently wrong. They can't stand him. Said he was the worst CIA director in history, was loathed during his time at the CIA, and they're mortified at what John Brennan has done. Now, let me read you the text of the First Amendment, because I'm sure you know it, but I'll read it again. Now, many on the left are saying, That's a suppression of his First Amendment rights. John Brennan himself said he's suppressing my freedom of speech. Here we go. Amendment 1 of the United States Constitution. Quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, I'm a pretty literate guy. I consider myself a smart enough guy. I've read that multiple times. I can't seem to find the part about being guaranteed a security fired, all for not doing their job or for wrongdoing. Their clearances should instantly be revoked. I lost my pen. Their clearances should be revoked. All right? This isn't debatable. This isn't a game. General Michael Hayden, he's been out there doing what Brennan's doing. Now, there was a lot of misinformation flying in the White House press room. Oh, he's only doing this to Democrats. Hayden was a Republican appointee under the Bushes. James Comey was apparently a registered Republican. Remember that? Comey was there at the Republican administration. He was a favorite of Bush. Comey was the registered Republican. Brennan served under Bush. So no, Trump isn't only doing this to former Obama administration. What Brennan did, Brennan was not entitled in a position there where we're going to have these streaming, we're having these streaming problems today because they're finalizing web repair. So it's up and down, up and down. They're literally rewiring 2 square blocks here and upgrading everything. So I appreciate all the suggestions. When you tell me, check processes, but it's not that. In fact, when I do the show runs on a dedicated machine. I have screens up here that you can't see, and then a dedicated laptop that has nothing on it. It's unfortunately been very, very frustrating. But and somebody says, wish I would do this show as watching it live. Unfortunately, I'm doing it as a morning show right now, but we're going to see if it makes sense to do it later. And our stream really, we're having a really some terrible stream issues today, so I apologize for that. But back to John Brennan, and if these stream issues persist, what I'll do is I'll end it early, and then I won't be here. Well, I will not be here tomorrow because the web will be completely down in this area for about 5 hours in the morning. So we're not going to be doing a live show tomorrow morning. We won't have connectivity, but what I'm told is it'll be 100%. Once they're done with that. All right, back to Brennan. So Brennan, just because he was CIA director, now look, I have a lot of people out there saying, well, the minute you leave, you should have your clearance revoked. No, I disagree with that. Look, I was called by NYPD a year after I left. I had to testify on, so they couldn't make me do it, but of course I did it. Things came to trial. There were hearings. I still needed to be able to access the information. The NYPD had to still treat me as I was a member of the department to let me review my old case files, things of that nature, right? So I have no problem with somebody leaving the FBI, leaving the CIA, leaving the NSA, the military, keeping their clearance. Number one, they might have to take a job with a contractor, with a defense firm. A lot of people in the private sector of security clearances, you need it. Government doesn't exist on its own. Somebody has to build a fighter plane, right? They're not military is not building fighters. McDonnell Douglas is, and Boeing is building military aircraft, whether they be fighters, bombers, transports. Well, all of those people hold clearances. They're working on top secret aircraft. There are private contractors working on our submarines. There are private contractors working inside CIA. That's just the nature of this world. And so this assertion that the minute you leave government service, your clearance needs to be revoked. Well, that's kind of silly, right? Because you might need it in the private sector. In fact, many of these people leave for the private sector, so they need the clearances, and we want them to have the clearances. And we want our former CIA director to have a clearance in case there was a matter they worked on or oversaw that pops back up. You want their expertise. You just don't want them to be a horribly inept partisan hack like John Brennan. Look, Leon Panetta was a Democrat, but he always handled himself with class. He was CIA director when we went and got bin Laden. I always thought Leon Panetta was an effective guy. He hasn't been out there smearing Trump. He's conducted himself with dignity. I have no problem that Leon Panetta keeps his security clearance because bin Laden's son is emerging as a major player in the world of terror. So I want the CIA to be consulting with former CIA Director Leon Panetta about everything he learned when we were looking into Osama bin Laden that might help us take out the son. He needs his clearance. I want him in the loop on those things. All right? I'm not so partisan. He was appointed by a Democrat. I don't want him involved. No, he's got expertise. He was there. He knows what he's talking about. Benjamin says they can be read in on the fly if we needed their assistance. They don't need to be walking around as a civilian with a top secret clearance. I don't care. You got to understand something. Just because you have a clearance, I had a clearance. Just because you have a clearance doesn't mean you can access any information you want. Having a clearance doesn't mean you can go walk in a Langley and review anything. You still need to be read in. You still need to be briefed. Having the clearance doesn't mean you can go home and log into some super secret interface and access all the nation's secrets. It doesn't mean that. So having a clearance means nothing. Nothing. If you're not being given the information. What Trump is doing is he's taking away the ability of Brennan to be read in. So what you're saying is what happens anyway, Benjamin. They are read in as needed. They're briefed as needed. But pulling their clearance them having a clearance doesn't give them any more information than they would not having a clearance. It just enables them to be read in without a long delay of having to re-clear them. So there's a lot of bad information. Too many people believe that if you carry a security clearance, you get to go into these super secret rooms and hit a few buttons and you can see every secret the United States. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. You just simply have the clearance, and if it's needed for the job you're doing at the moment, you'll be read in without having to undergo the entire investigation for the clearance again. That's all it means. So I've got no problem with people carrying clearances, but it's a privilege, not a right. And when it's abused, as it's been by Brennan and these others, it should be pulled. It should be pulled. And so that's why I want to, on this show, a lot of you guys, we go back and forth because I say I don't believe in nonsense like Q, and I'm not a big fan of conspiracy sites. Look, I back Alex Jones's right to broadcast, right? I want to broadcast, but I don't watch the guy. I'll never watch the guy. Not after he insulted the memories of my friends killed on 9/11 with conspiracy theories. While I might not watch your content, I don't want it to ever be banned from being broadcast. Now here, see, there's an example of people that don't understand what a security clearance is. DWT says, should the retired bank security officer retain the keys to the cash vault? Well, bank security officers never have the keys to the vault, number one. That's always management. Number two, you're proving my point. Merely having a security clearance does not give you the keys to the vault. It doesn't. It simply allows you to enter the vault if the bank deems it necessary to do something. Hey, you were our former manager. When you were here, things were organized very nicely in the vault. Come into the vault and show us how it's done. But if you were to just walk into the bank and say, I want to go in the vault, they'd say, sorry, you don't work here anymore. We don't need you in the vault right now. So you're not really understanding how a clearance works. A clearance doesn't give you unlimited access to the vault. It simply allows you to be invited in without a full background check if they need you to come into the vault. So thanks for the comment. Hopefully I cleared that up for you. And yeah, guys, I know the buffering is a little bit difficult. And Nick at Night says, thanks. Nobody's explained how having a security clearance works as you just did. Thank you. I was one of those many people who thought they could access anything at any time. Thanks. Yeah, no. And Nick, that's the problem, right? The media is doing a terrible job of explaining this. of explaining it. I had a clearance for work I did in law enforcement, and when I left, I still carried it, but it didn't mean I was able to access anything because my logins to the law enforcement systems were taken away when I left. I no longer work there, right? My access cards to the building were taken away when I left. My ability to log in was taken away. My laptop they gave me was taken away. Now, there was a situation where I had worked on something. They needed my expertise with a certain agency. So I flew to DC. I sat with them. And because I still had the ability to access that information, well, to receive the information and given to me, I was able to assist. So my clearance kicked in then, but only because active duty people with that agency met me at the airport, drove me to the office. We sat in a secure room and they showed me the limited things they needed me to see without having to redo my background investigation. And that's all it means to carry a clearance when you leave. That's it. That's it. I had no ability to walk into that building on my own and start opening files. None. If I tried to do that, I'd have been detained and arrested like you or anybody else. That's all. Jim Jam says, but someone can feed you info if you have a cohort on the inside. Yeah, they could do that if you don't have a clearance. They could do it if you don't have a clearance, because even if you do, they're breaking the law by giving you information on a matter that you're not read into. That's what I'm trying to explain. Benjamin says, having a clearance after you leave the job seems like an unnecessary privilege. But it's not. Number one, it's very expensive, right? So here's why they do it. Cost the government about $500,000 to $750,000 right now to give somebody a top secret SCI. So say, for example, you leave a very senior position. You're an assistant deputy director at the FBI. Forget all the politics. Just say you were really, really good at what you did. You were a great counterterror agent. Your clearances are good for about 5 years. It all depends, but 5 years for, I believe it's 5 years TS SCI or 5 years TS. I haven't looked at it in a while. Now you leave. You're retired for a year. You're doing consulting, et cetera, et cetera. A position opens at CIA, and CIA is now looking at a group of terrorists overseas that you were operating on, investigating in the U.S. You're one of the best at what you do. You're outstanding. Why shouldn't they be able to just hire you or offer you the job? And if you accept, why wait to redo your entire clearance? You've served for your 20 years. You've never abused your clearance. You served this nation. You protected people. I have no problem with you carrying that clearance for a few years so that you can assist on investigations. Many people leave, they retire, and then they work as a consultant with law enforcement, intelligence. So it doesn't make sense to spend all that money and reinvestigate and reissue that entire clearance. Jeff Likes Apple says, if you retain clearance with the police, surely that allows you the ability to walk in and demand donuts. Do you know that actually it's the opposite? I have to pay for the damn donuts for everybody. You wouldn't have thought that, would you? And sadly, I have to pay for the Twinkies. No. Benjamin Avtek says that happen a lot. It really does. Look, I've got a friend, for example, who was SEAL Team 6. He's been out of 6 for about 10 years, but he retains his top secret clearance because he keeps getting it renewed. He conducts trainings in the private sector. He conducts asymmetric warfare trainings for SEAL Team 6 operators. And I won't go into what they do, but he needs his clearance to do that, right? And who better than him to do it? He was a SEAL Team 6 assaulter. So who better than him to train one of the, the guys of which he used to be one? And he needs a clearance for that. So does it happen a lot? Yeah, it happens a lot, and it's necessary. And, it's something that I don't, well, I see what you're saying, Ben, about guys go rogue, but I will tell you this. I've got a lot of friends who retained clearances when they left. I really do. And they've all been able to put them to use in some fashion. Had a friend who was in the Navy, had a clearance up to nuclear. And, he's now with one of the companies that builds submarines for our Navy. He needed his clearance, right? He's He used to serve as an officer on that side, and now he's working with the engineering teams for the next generation of sub. You need a clearance for that. And so, you got to remember too, like when these companies that are building aircraft carriers and submarines and bombers and fighters and tanks and MRAPs, they're trying to hire first the people that were in our military that used this equipment. All right. I mean, who better to help you build the next generation of equipment than the guys that used it in the previous generation, the girls that used it in the previous generation? They all have their clearances. They need those clearances to work in those jobs to make better equipment or to help design better equipment. And so Luigi72 says, do they check though people after they left before they reinvite them for jobs? You'll go through a brief background check, but your clearance is still in place. So you don't have to go through that extensive one. Most agencies will still do a basic background, credit, look for recent criminal records, DUIs, things like that. But once you pass that basic background, drug test, things like that, then you can start being read in because your overall clearance is still in effect. So what they're really doing is they're only really checking the time from your severance to your application for the new job and making sure that nothing changed in that time period, that everything kicks in again. Jeff posted a serious question above. Let me see what Jeff said here. Do I think that getting rid of Brennan's clearance allows the Trump administration to investigate him more freely? Not really. Not really. There are, what I think this does is it silences Brennan a little and takes away his ability to access information that he can then leak to the press and spin to damage the Trump administration. I believe they're already investigating him. Drop Bomb says that the SEAL teams 1 through 5, I believe it's 1 through 8 or 2 through 8. 1 through 8, and then 6 is development group, Naval Special Warfare Development Group. They're the tier 1, they call unit. Yeah, I believe the SEALs go up to have teams up to 8. Let's see. SIG. Got guns on my mind. 6 hours on my mind. Now, who just wrote that? No clearances for traitors. Hills of VA Road. I agree. John Brennan is an example. Will there be more? Hangman John Ruth says, or will there be more? Yeah, so they're looking at John Ruth, they're looking at the clearances right now. Sarah Huckabee Sanders said this yesterday. The security clearances under review right now to be revoked are James Clapper, James Comey, General Michael Hayden, Susan Rice. Here, let me review. Clapper, Comey, Hayden, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Sally Yates, Bruce Orr, and Susan Rice. So many clearances right now are under review. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Susan Rice. Yeah. So many clearances are right now under review. Look, they should be. They should be. What these people were doing was disgraceful. What these people are doing is disgraceful. Now, who said that? Meditech said Strzok will lose his. He should. Now, here's where we differ. Here's my opinion differs, not us. I think when you're fired, your clearance should be revoked and then given back to you provisionally if they need you for something, an old case, to be read in on something. But beyond that, when you're fired, it should go with you. DMC asks, what about Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Mr. Low-Key, great to see you, brother. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is actually, I'm literally sitting in her district right now. Well, no, I'm actually sitting 2 blocks from her district. I'm in Ted Deutsch's district. Debbie Wasserman Schultz should be in a lot of trouble. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully, we'll see an investigation someday. Special K says, something I agree with. When the Mueller witch hunt is finished, will there be a special counsel for the real crime of trying to remove a democratically elected president? I tell you guys all the time, I hate the concept of a special counsel. I think we need a second special counsel to investigate the first special counsel. I say it all the time, but yeah, I don't like it, but I think we might need it. MK Ultra says that flag looks amazing against the black wall, visually appealing, easy on the eye. Thanks. Yeah, I was toying with what to do with the background, and then one day I just tried black, and it worked. It just worked. And guys, again, sorry about the stream. Victor Berend, I believe that after you serve military or civil service, once you leave and are not on reserve, they should have a limited secret unless you can prove you are a threat to nation. No, I think, look, I don't have any problem with you keeping the clearance you had. It's expensive and time-consuming to give it to you. There we go. Stream's looking a little better now, I think. Renee Nadeau says, when Colonel Sanders retired, I'm sure he had a say in what happens to his chicken. 11 secret herbs and spices. Secret. Should have been top secret. It's pretty good stuff. Do you think Captain Crunch has a security clearance? Let me know what you guys think. Gunner says, Sig Rattler and 300 Blackout. I'm actually building 2 more AR pistols. One in 300, another one in 5.56. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out so many accessories. I want to keep them very trim, very, very trim. Pretty stripped down, pretty light. So, next gun show down here. Adam Gingrich says it will happen. What will happen? Adam's a buddy of mine. What did Adam say? I don't know what you're talking about. Adam's a good guy. Let's see. Mr. Low-Key, careful wearing that shirt, brother. You know how fast Ford's rust in the rain. Dude, don't tell that to my brother. He's got one of those new Shelby GT 350s. The thing is a rocket. But I will tell you, the car is awesome. So I think you and he would be arguing about that. Do Bill and Hillary Clinton still hold her clearances? Yeah, they probably do. I mean, she was Secretary of State. He was the sitting U.S. president. So, yes. Obama needs a security clearance revoked. You're never going to see that happen to a former president. He was president of the United States for 2 terms. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Captain Crunch and the General are both fairly top secret, don't you know? Yeah, I would think so. Captain Crunch has been around a long time. He knows where a lot of bodies are buried. I think we need to let him keep his clearance. Special cases. Thing I like about Trump is he has no special interest. He's president for the people, unlike Obama, who was a voice for the deep state and socialists and the far left and America haters. Yeah. Adam Gingrich says second special counsel will have it. Look, I hope it does. And I'm not sure. I will say this, though. Adam is one of the sharpest guys I know in politics. He's a good buddy of mine, personal friend. So I'm 50-50. But I will also say this. Adam's a sharp guy with this stuff, so I do trust his judgment. And so I won't rule it out. Glenn Hexet says, Dianne Feinstein and her Chinese boy toy should be indicted as enemies of the state. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know about indicted for Dianne Feinstein. That guy certainly should be, and she should be nowhere near classified information until she is thoroughly investigated. My name is Love says, show us your tattoos. That's about all you got there. And my shark. Nirodim says, congrats for 1 million subscriptions. Yeah, the Rebel crossed a milestone the other night, 1 million subscribers. So, doing very well. It seems that when they try to censor conservatives, we do better. Grandpa John Gaming says, John, I love Trump, but get so annoyed about the witch hunt against him. Does the USA that he is actually doing things that he promised and puts USA first? Why would they betray and hunt him like this? Well, John, for that reason. He's disrupting the status quo and putting America first. He's not a globalist. He's not trying to cut America to its knees like Obama and Hillary did. There's a lot of money. Remember something. There's a lot of money in war. And when Trump wants to go sit down, talk to people, negotiate deals, use economic sanctions, instead of sending our soldiers to be killed, very willing to send 19-year-olds to have their legs blown off. Some of us, not so much. Let's see. Just trying to get the stream back for you guys. There we go. There we go. Benjamin Aztecs, good question. And I think around 8:15, we're probably, I got a notification that around 8, I'm getting texted on it now. Benjamin Aztec said, who is Sessions? Is that the old guy who pops up now and then claiming he's the attorney general? Yeah, he's that really old guy who looks like the Keebler elf who pops up and says, MS-13, legal weed, civil asset seizure. And then he goes back into the hole like the groundhog. That's who Jeff Sessions is. Exactly. All right. Let's see what else we got here. They're going after every channel. They're going after every conservative channel. Let's see. Let's see what else we got going. Special K says Trump is doing it for the people. He's already a billionaire. He doesn't need the money, unlike Hillary is in politics for the money. I happen to agree. I think Trump's a problem solver. The guy has built the business solving problems. Benjamin, I'm glad you like my Jeff Sessions impression. MS-13, legal weed, civil asset seizure. Then he goes by and goes back to sleep. He takes a nap. Look, Trump is a problem solver. It's how he built this business, right? He said, how do you get from A to B in the most efficient, inexpensive, profitable, quickest way? Now, the interesting thing is when he started doing it in government, those solutions turned out to be conservative policies. I'm laughing at Benjamin's comment. Yeah, Sessions looks like the Keebler elf. He looks like the Keebler elf. No, he was the worst. He was the worst choice for attorney general. The worst. I believe, is an old dude who just doesn't want to. You know what's interesting, though? Here's something that always blows my mind. You ready? Think about their energy levels. Think about the amount of fight in these two men while I put this in perspective for you. Jeff Sessions is 71 years old. Donald Trump is 72 years old. Donald Trump is a year older than Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions acts like Donald Trump's grandfather. It's incredible. Incredible. Let's see. No, the video quality is poor. It's not deep state censorship, Dean. It's unfortunately, they're doing some upgrades on the web over here. Yeah, Rowdy Yates, Sweden's in a big mess. Sweden is in a big mess. Panchito says, what are my thoughts on the MSM silence on Keith Ellison? All right. There's credible allegations against Keith Ellison, but here's what I'm going to say. Now, what we have on Ellison is we have that guy who made the allegations on Facebook, Austin Monahan, saying that he saw a tape of Ellison domestically abusing his mom. The mom, Karen Monahan, then said, this happened. There is a tape. I'm not going to release it. Another woman, I believe her name is Amy Ashley, in 2006, or Amy Alexander, or Amy Ashley, it's one of those names, something like that. In 2006, said Ellison did something pretty much identical to her. There's been a 911 call transcript circulating in the media that appears to be legitimate, and local media outlets in Minnesota said they did vet it, and it is a factual document. It's a legitimate document, transcript from the police department. Now, you've got two allegations that span 12 years, very similar, with the complaining victims alleged saying these things happened. I give it weight. And I give it weight because when Rob Porter, who worked in the White House, had similarly weighted allegations leveled against him, the media burned him at the stake and forced him out of his job. However, if there's a tape on Ellison, produce it. Much like if there are tapes of Donald Trump saying things, produce them. If you've got a tape, produce the tape. That said, with Ellison, even without the tape, there is more than enough evidence in my eyes to warrant an investigation and a suspension from the DNC. Because you've got two complaining victims, and the son of one of the complaining victims publicly saying this. These aren't anonymous sources. These people are standing out there in front of cameras, giving their names, saying, he did this to me. They're not asking for money. In the case of the woman from 2006, she didn't press charges and never sued him. And she's not trying to get money now because the statute of limitations on the civil suit expired. Nor are the Monahans. In fact, it looks like they don't want to have their privacy invaded. So to me, these victims seem, well, I'll say alleged victims, seem very, very credible. The cop in me talking, they seem very, very credible. And I think the mainstream media should do more to uncover whether or not there are more allegations, more alleged victims. So yes, I think the mainstream media's silence on this is disgraceful. Disgraceful. Let's see. What else we got here? Let's see. Rowdy Yates asked me about Tommy Robinson, so I'll say what I always say. I think what they're doing to him is disgraceful, but watch Ezra for that. Nobody out there has the information Ezra has on Tommy Robinson. I would do the case no justice. So Ezra is your go-to guy for all things Tommy Robinson. Ben Navstek says, what's up in Minnesota? Thought Al Franken was bad enough. Minnesota's a dumpster fire. Remember that ad for the congressman from Michigan? Oh, God, yeah, I do. But go to Al Franken, right? Al Franken had the Democrats circle the wagons around him, and there was a photo of him trying to grope that woman. So Al Franken is a great analogy for what's going on with Keith Ellison in the media. Okay, Fan 123456 is missing the point about security clearances. When I leave a job, they take my card key and my logins and access is terminated. Common sense tells you to cancel the clearance. A clearance doesn't give you access to anything. Ready Edit says, I'm only 16 already, and my life threatened 6 times for your views on many topics. All the left resorts to is violence and threats. Right. But keep it up. Never let them silence you. They don't have a platform. They don't have intelligent, substantial retorts to your positions. So all they can do is threaten you. That's it. It's all they've got. All right, I'm going to have to ban another troll here. I don't understand why people troll. Do they think somebody's going to engage them? Do they think anybody cares what they have to say? Sword of Damocles, I covered what you're talking about New Mexico, because that wasn't an ISIS compound. If that had nothing to do with ISIS. The judge, I covered that whole story and the judge giving a signature bond. But Lisa Leto, is Larry Klayman going to be the special counsel? I know Larry. I talk to Larry a few times a week. He wants to be, but no, they wouldn't appoint Larry. I'd like to see them maybe think about Larry. I really like Larry quite a bit. He's a good guy. And Larry and I speak about 3 times a week about these issues. Here, good comment by Ben Avstek. A clearance gave the illusion that Brennan's speculation and innuendo, and I'll even add commentary in media, was more credible than it should have been. Exactly. Ben, great point. Pulling Brennan's clearance kind of neuters him. Now when he's in the media, it's his opinion. You're no longer going to say, is he getting some secret info that we don't know about? Now he's just a guy with an opinion, like most other commentators, which he should be. Yeah. Ready Edit says, yeah, it's hilarious. I load up with as many facts as possible, go into class and engage. They've complained to the school many times, and apparently I'm a racist and sexist pig for my views on feminism. Oh, yeah. You're going to be called every name in the world for your conservative positions. You're going to be called every name in the world. Jeff, we're going to be doing the sex offender cases early next week. The Catholic Church, the priests, because tomorrow they're going to be finishing the upgrade, so I won't be here. We're going to be doing those cases. They require a lot more because I worked on those cases. We're going to do a whole show, probably 2 shows on those early next week. Do I think Trump will make the healthcare and situation for the poorest better in the USA? Would be a lovely country to live in. I think he's doing it. I think when you strengthen the economy, everyone benefits. It's not an overnight fix. Add to that Reince Priebus getting the boot out of the White House. That's why, and by the way, make no mistake, mind, because these are their sources, right? Brennan is their source. Comey is their source. McCabe is their source. Strzok is their source. They're losing their minds in the media because if all of these security clearances get revoked, they lose their anonymous sources close to the president have said. Anonymous sources have said. That's why the media is losing their minds. Nicholas, no, there are not 40,000 sealed indictments surrounding the Clinton case. People do not know what they're reading. Stop the QAnon nonsense. Many of those things that are sealed are not even indictments. All right. You guys have to learn. There's a system called PACER, which is the federal court system search. You pay, I don't know, dimes for each page. People, number one, we're a nation of 330 million people. There are a lot of federal prosecutions, okay? All of the things that are sealed aren't even indictments. And of the ones that are, many have nothing whatsoever to do with the Clintons or this. They're a drug case. They're a gun running case. They're an organized crime case. They're an anti-terrorism case. They're a money laundering case. They're a Wall Street case. You guys are being given terrible information. Terrible information. All right. Clifford, hi in London. Ready edits? You're in Australia. I recommend you pay attention to Nick Adams. Nick Adams is a conservative in Australia, too. He's here in the U.S. I'm sure you know him. Nick's a good buddy of mine, really great guy. He can give you some really spot-on insights into how to handle this. Let's see, what's the best way to get rid of the London mayor? Vote him out. Convince people that he's terrible and vote against him. Tyrone Black, hello, in the Cayman Islands. I'm going to be down there for a wedding in November. My good friends have a house down there, and I will be there. Mr. McBurney, fires don't start themselves in Israel. Hamas uses fire. They use fire here in the U.S., America. And by the way, thanks for the donation. Yeah, terrorists use fire everywhere. 9/11 proves that. Hamas is very active here, aligning with groups like CARE and trying to legitimize themselves. Victorian Greyjoy, hello from Cancun. Hello in Cancun. Stay safe down there in Mexico. Let's see. 90% of members of Congress have dual Israeli U.S. citizenship. That is simply not true. Sorry, but I see where you're going with this. Not going to deal with it. Have a great one. See, one of the things I put out there for potential trolls is to understand that you'll never be engaged. You're never going to bait me. We're not going to argue back and forth. Too many people here to actually have substantive conversations and learn things and teach me things. I'm just going to hide you on the channel forever. You're not going to be able to comment. That's my rule with trolls. Zero tolerance. You will never, you troll once, troll twice. Maybe I'm just missing the point. You're a little sarcastic. You're funny. Pete Kingston, black coffee and ice water. Yep. Love it in the morning. That's, CARE is a, I was talking about CARE. Yeah, CARE is a terrible organization. CARE, I'm very deep into CARE, and they're aligned with radical groups. Some bad people. Oh, Fraser McBurney, you're talking about the forest fires on the West Coast. No. I'm sorry. I thought you were being metaphoric. God, no. That's not terror. Nah, that's just that part of the country has had no rain, and they've had these very dry thunderstorms. So high altitude thunderstorms where the rain evaporates before it hits the ground, but the lightning strikes. So you've got essentially 250,000 acres of kindling getting hit with lightning, and it's keeping those fires going. Now, people have started them, but the guy who did it who started one of those fires was a local career derelict criminal American guy. Just, this has nothing to do with terror. Nothing to do with terror. And, Nick at Night, ex-Intel guys say, I think, or I believe media, then idiots say it's fact as long as it's anti-Trump. I think I believe plenty doesn't make it fact. Well, Hillary get indicted, MAGA, Q goes public or no interest. Q is fake. Q is fake. Don't listen to that nonsense. Hillary will never get indicted. Hillary's not going to get indicted. The rest of what you say, absolutely. But a lot of former Intel guys can't stand John Brennan. They think he's a moron. Jeff likes Apple. See you later, brother. Thanks for tuning in. You'll never see an indictment of Hillary Clinton, I believe. Wouldn't work. Impossible. One person, Special K, would love to see it. Yeah, but, George Soros, as much as I dislike the guy, he funds some pretty nefarious actors, but he does it legally. A lot of what we find out about George Soros, we see in his tax returns that he pays and he posts on the Attorney General's website as he's required to do. So that's the ironic thing about George Soros. We know about all of the bad characters he funds because does it in a very legal and compliant and transparent way. And so I don't think there's much to investigate George Soros on. Because, he gives money to Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all these other radical left groups, but he puts it right there on the tax returns of his Open Societies Foundation, and he files them with the IRS, and then he posts them up on the websites in all the states that require that so the public can read them. There are thousands and thousands of pages of Soros's tax returns out there for public consumption. So I despise. And that is, unfortunately, what the First Amendment's about. If somebody's doing it legally, they're allowed to fund, they're allowed to speak, they're allowed to do these things that we deem reprehensible. And guys, what I'm going to do now, because it's only about 10 minutes to the end of the show, is I'm going to cut it early because the stream is clearly very, very bad. I will be back with you Monday morning. We're going to have all these issues worked out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Great today. Love your comments. Keep them coming. I'll see you on Monday morning right here, 7:30 a.m.